when I speak, it's helpful to you?
I amplitude. Maybe you confuse my or we use for me. When we use for me, or when we use to.
Oh, which one? Well, it depends on context. When I would say, I am speaking to you. I'm speaking to you. Now, so this is what we would use. I am speaking to her. I am speaking to you. Now, let's say that you speak English and she doesn't, okay? And she wants to tell me something, but she can't because she can't speak English. Excuse me. So, we would say, you will speak for her. You see, on her behalf. So I'm speaking to you, you're speaking to me.
But I'm speaking for her to you.
Yeah, if she can't speak, she can't speak. She has, just as an example, she has no English. But she wants to tell me something, because you can speak English, you would speak for her to me. Okay?
Teacher, I like traveling.
Travel?
And I like to travel. How different?
They're the same.
The same.
I haven't done this yet, but I like to travel. That we've taken the word travel and we've turned it into a noun, but we call that an infinitive. And when we take a noun, when we take a verb and we turn it into a noun, and we do so by adding to, we call that an infinitive. And I haven't covered that yet. We're going to take that up probably tomorrow.
But it's the same.
It's the same. It's the same. We could say, I like traveling, or we could say, I like to travel. The same thing.
I ever asked my teacher, you say not the same.
He said it's not the same? Well,
Because I think, in my opinion, I think it's the same.
he might what?
In my opinion, I think it's the same.
Yeah.
My former teacher said not the same.
Not the same? Huh. Well, they mean the same thing.
Teacher, would you care for some more drink or put some water?
Yeah. A little more hot water. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
It's impossible to be a poem.
Pardon me?
This I like.
When I was born, I felt blue, but now I know how to do good or bad. It's true. Then you can choose everything by you. Yeah.
It's okay.
Well,
Understand it?
I can understand. When you say I feel blue,
Yes, sad.
in English that's like sad, depressed. When I was born, I felt blue,
You know
but
the meaning,
I know the meaning of blue. Yeah.
and it's right. It's correct.
But now I know how to do good or bad.
It's true.
It's true. Then you can choose everything by you.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the sentence structure there.
How many words in the one phrase?
Well,
There is a limit.
well, in poetry, there are rules, but poets usually break all the rules. So, you can have as many words as you want or as few words as you want.
The important is the link and the rhyme of the word.
Well, some poems rhyme and some poems don't rhyme.
Most of them are rhyme.
Huh? Well,
The poems are rhymes.
yeah, well, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. In English, when poetry rhymes and has a very special meter to it, we call that formal verse. And when the poetry doesn't rhyme, we call that free verse. Free verse. And some, I can give an example of a free verse. I'll give you an example.
I love to.
From the same, from,
In Thai is.
I can give you an example.
In English is very different.
Yeah. The same poet, Robert Frost, he wrote both formal verse, such as the one I showed you, but also he also wrote free verse.
Can you write poems?
Huh?
Can you write a poem
Yeah.
by yourself?
Do I write poetry? Yeah, I do. I do.
Show me one.
Oh, okay, I will sometime. See, this is the same poet, Robert Frost, and it's free verse because you see there aren't any rhymes. There are no words.
Right.
There are no rhymes. Right, trees, them, stay, them, morning, themselves. No rhymes. No rhymes. But he's using images. He's creating pictures with these words. And so that's his poem. When I see birches, a birch tree, do you know what a birch tree is?
Yeah.
When I see birches bend to the left and right across the lines of straighter, darker trees, I like to think of some boys been swinging them. But swinging doesn't bend them down to stay, as ice storms do. Often you must have seen them loaded with ice on a sunny, wintry morning. So he's given his...
Is poetry also?
Yeah, yeah, it's free verse because he's drawing a picture with words. And the words, he's not just describing the tree, he's describing a thought.
Describe the imagination.
So a poem can be both. Now, in Thai poetry, I don't know about Thai poetry. I know that in Malaysian poetry, there's a form called the pantun, and it has a repeating line, and it also has rhymes to it. But in English verse, in England, and poetry in English, some poems will rhyme and some poems will not rhyme. What makes something a poem? What makes something a poem? What was that? I missed that.
We talk about poem in Thailand. We have many rules in Thai poetry.
Many rules?
Yes.
Well,
We have many rhymes. Also.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in English poetry, there are also many rules, different rhyme patterns and different meter patterns. We do too. And some poetry is written that way. But then sometimes poets will write a poem without rhyme. And that's still called a poem.
Free is mean that we write a beautiful sentence.
Well, yes. When we say free verse, we're saying that the poet is writing without regard to the rules. But the poet, in order for the words to be called a poem, the definition, there is really no precise definition for what a poem is. What I say, and I think many people would agree with me, is that a poem expresses thought that words are not capable of expressing. The poem goes beyond the words. The word in English that describes what I'm trying to say is